I think it's time we face the uncomfortable truth. The backlash against Bella Ramsey didn't just stir the pot, it detonated a cultural landmine. And now, the fallout might have buried Season 3 of The Last of Us for good. According to the latest insider leaks, Neil Druckmann, the very architect of this series, allegedly admitted behind closed doors that the hate-targeting Bella Ramsey played a major role in the franchise's derailment. Think about that. A single performance, a single casting decision, igniting this much outrage that it could supposedly cancel a billion-dollar franchise. And this wasn't your average fan discourse. What started as a simple debate over looks spiraled into something cruel, relentless, and deeply personal.
Oh, I had to put like a jacket on and a backpack and sling a gun over me, and that was actually quite difficult. I actually had quite a hard day trying to get all of my things on and get the gun the right way up. It was a bit of a thing. Anyway, it was really fun.
And the second meeting, I really remember him showing me like parts of The Last of Us 2 when it was like early days of getting made, which was pretty crazy. And he told me what happens, which was also crazy. I've been sitting with this secret for so long.
Basically Neil and you have known this for 12 years.
What once was one of the most loyal fan bases in gaming history suddenly fractured. People took sides, entire communities split in two, and now the cost is coming into focus. Lost trust, shaken creatives, and a production team scrambling to hold the pieces together while Bella Ramsey gets pushed deeper into the line of fire. This is what fandom looks like in 2025. We might have just witnessed one of the ugliest fan betrayals in TV history.
Based on very specific source material, and so that was always a part of the presentation of the idea. Go all in on season 1, shoot for 11 to 12 months in Alberta, and then it would take a totally different shape in the second season, and this is why.
From the very first announcement, Bella Ramsey's casting as Ellie was met with instant heat. Not hesitation, rage. Twitter threads exploded within minutes. TikTok creators lined up to call it a miscast of the decade. Why? Not because of her resume. Bella's resume was rock solid, acclaimed for her work in Game of Thrones and his dark materials. She had the emotional chops, the intensity, and the screen presence. But none of that mattered, because for so many fans, all they saw was a face that didn't look pixel perfect to the Ellie they worshipped in the game.
There's a certain privilege that I feel and a certain appreciation of, like, you know, as an artist, as a writer, as a storyteller, whatever title you want to put on us, you just hope you find some audience.
Let's be honest, we've seen this happen before. But the Last of Us community didn't just critique, they obsessed. Frame-by-frame comparisons, AI-generated better versions, petitions to recast her before she even filmed a scene. They didn't want to give her a shot, they wanted her gone. And this wasn't about performance. Not really. It was about control. Fans thought they owned Ellie.
I was gonna die before they offered me the part. They're like, don't worry, you're gonna die. And I was like, okay, I'll take it.
Look how far games have come, that we could have this conversation. It's like, you could compare the two, and that the game can sit side by side with an HBO show.
And when the creative team dared to make a choice they didn't like, that's when the war started. Casting should have been a win for the show. Instead, it lit the fuse. What happened next wasn't just criticism, it was a full-blown digital ambush. Bella Ramsey became the face of the show, and the bullseye. The memes, vicious, the Reddit threads, brutal. Entire YouTube channels racked up millions of views, off mocking her facial expressions, dissecting her voice, or saying she ruined Ellie. And this wasn't just a weekend trend, it kept going. For months, relentless. And while the trolls were gaining traction, Bella was taking the hits in silence. According to whispers from the set, the actress began withdrawing. She skipped some press appearances, she cut off some interviews, and behind the scenes, people say she started second-guessing every performance, every take, every choice. Because when you're 20 years old and the internet tells you every day that you're a mistake, it's impossible to block all that out. The production team reportedly tried to shield her, but the damage was done. Crew morale dipped. PR teams were on constant cleanup duty. The narrative had slipped out of HBO's hands and into the chaos of the internet. And whether fair or not, Bella Ramsey had become the scapegoat for every complaint about the show. It wasn't just ugly, it was exhausting. for everyone involved. Neil Druckmann wasn't just steering a hit show, he was trying to preserve the legacy of one of the most beloved video game stories of all time. But as the backlash against Bella Ramsey reached a boiling point, Druckmann allegedly found himself.
Actually, people were critical of some choices that we've made in the show.
Yeah.
And they were saying like, oh, I like this better in the game, and this was more subtle in the game, whatever they said.
Because I was so emotional for this journey we had together. It was just...
Bella told me about that. They said it was so touching that what you wrote.
Cornered. The noise wasn't dying down. The hate wasn't quieting. Every episode that aired only reignited the fury. And the creative freedom he once had, slipping away with every headline, every trending hashtag, every fan-made takedown video, from what insiders are whispering, Druckmann knew they had a problem. A big one. Because it wasn't just fan complaints anymore, it was turning into a brand issue. Corporate was reportedly concerned about reputation, investors were asking questions, and marketing was struggling to pivot. Season 2 hadn't even finished airing before higher-ups allegedly started floating contingency plans in meetings. And here's where the dilemma hit hardest. Druckmann stood by his casting. He believed in Bella, but he also had to weigh the cost of sticking to that vision versus salvaging the future of the franchise. Does he push forward with Ellie at the center and risk hemorrhaging viewers and brand deals? Or does he cave to the pressure and pivot hard, potentially even ending the story early? Sources close to the production say he fought tooth and nail to protect the show's integrity, but the damage had already been done. According to one executive, it became a game of creative triage. And that's when the idea allegedly first surfaced. Cancel the 3rd season before the backlash eats it alive. But it wasn't just Druckmann who was feeling the pressure. According to insiders, the entire cast and crew were emotionally unraveling by the time filming wrapped on Season 2. The negativity wasn't just online anymore, it was in the air, on set. People were walking on eggshells. The vibe reportedly shifted from excitement and collaboration to tension and quiet paranoia. Because once Bella became a lightning rod for fan hatred, every actor started asking themselves the same question. Am I next? Cast members allegedly stopped joking around between takes. Some kept their heads down at table reads. Others were described as drained and mentally checked out during shoot days. And for the younger actors, some of whom saw Bella as a role model, it was even worse. Watching someone they admired get torn apart in real time shattered their confidence. It made them question everything about the project they had once been so proud to be part of. Behind the scenes, a few supporting cast members even began asking their agents whether they could negotiate reduced roles, or, in more extreme cases, be written out entirely. One crew member allegedly overheard someone say, "I don't want to be collateral." Damage. When a cast loses faith in the story, or worse, feels emotionally unsafe telling it, the magic's gone. And if the performers can't find the spark, the audience won't either. And this is where the situation allegedly spiraled into full-on legal chaos. Once the hate campaign against Bella Ramsey crossed a certain line, union reps were reportedly brought in to monitor the situation, not just for Bella's protection, but for the overall mental health of the cast. SAG-AFTRA allegedly started poking around, asking how long the producers had known about the online abuse and what, if anything, they had done to intervene. It didn't stop there. Legal advisors working with HBO allegedly flagged the entire issue as a brand liability. Several contracts reportedly included clauses about talent reputation management and mental health protections, which meant that if Bella's legal team wanted to, they could have theoretically claimed the network failed to fulfill its duty of care. Suddenly, this wasn't just about casting or fan wars, it was about potential lawsuits. HR reportedly scrambled to draft internal memos. Legal was allegedly coaching PR on what phrases to avoid in public statements. And behind closed doors, executives started having emergency conversations about worst-case scenarios. What if Bella walked away? What if the show got sued? What if other cast members started filing complaints? That's when it became crystal clear. This wasn't just a controversy, it was an operational meltdown. And when HR and legal departments start steering the ship, instead of the writer's room, that's a giant red flag the creative heart of the show is already on life support. Here's something I think fans underestimate every single time. This isn't just a TV show, it's a corporate empire. We're talking about a franchise worth billions. Between HBO, Sony, and Naughty Dog, there are dozens of departments: licensing, deals, product pipelines, and brand partnerships riding on this show's success. So, when fan outrage turns into a media firestorm, the fallout isn't just social, it's financial. Dead serious. According to multiple sources close to the situation, Season 2 of The Last of Us wasn't just underperforming on the PR front, it was bleeding goodwill behind the scenes. Sponsors started backing away, merch drops got delayed, even planned product tie-ins, like gaming hardware and apparel collaborations, were reportedly put on hold indefinitely as the Bella Ramsey controversy made headlines week after week. And why? Because no brand wants to be caught in the crossfire. When your star becomes a walking PR risk, every connected product starts looking radioactive. Behind closed doors, marketing leads were reportedly raising the alarm. One insider claimed execs were spooked by the volume of negative sentiment online, not just about Ramsey, but about the entire brand. Fan pages were imploding. Comment sections were toxic. Retail buyers, nervous. Licensing partners, stalling. The term that allegedly started circulating in internal emails? Brand toxicity. And let's be honest, once that label gets slapped on your franchise, it's nearly impossible to wash off. One high-level investor told a media outlet, we're all in on Last of Us for Q4 marketing, but when Bella started trending for the wrong reasons, the board reevaluated everything. That's the kind of comment that kills budgets. That's how momentum dies. And once the executives realize the creative team can't clean it up, that's when the creative team stops getting a say. As if things weren't already spiraling, Season 2 decided to double down on one of the riskiest narrative pivots in modern TV, shifting the focus away from Ellie and toward Abby, played by Caitlin Dever. Now, fans of the game already saw this coming. That structure is baked into The Last of Us Part 2. But let's not pretend the execution didn't pour gasoline on an already out-of-control fire. The moment the show gave Abby center stage, the internet exploded again. Half the fanbase felt blindsided. Many were already upset that Ellie, their emotional anchor, had been played by an actress they didn't connect with. Now they were being told to emotionally invest in someone else entirely. For a lot of viewers, it felt like HBO was quietly pushing Bella Ramsey out of the spotlight without officially admitting it. And honestly, that's how it looked. The optics were rough, Abby's screen time ballooned, her emotional arcs were rich and layered. Meanwhile, Ellie's storyline began to shrink, her presence diminished, and her impact muted. What was meant to be a faithful adaptation now felt to some like a course correction, like the showrunners were trying to phase out the most controversial part of the series without directly addressing the controversy. The backlash got louder. Twitter threads accused HBO of abandoning Ellie to save face. Reddit forums speculated that the pivot was all about protecting the brand from Bella's growing haters. Even some critics hinted that the Abby narrative, while powerful, felt like a smokescreen, a distraction, a calculated shift designed to reroute fan anger rather than confront it. Instead of solving the problem, it multiplied it. Now, instead of debating Bella Ramsey's performance, fans were arguing about character priorities, game loyalty, and whether the show had already sold out its soul to salvage its reputation. And let's be real, once a fandom starts accusing your writers of damage control, you've officially lost the room. The alleged cancellation of The Last of Us. Season 3 serves as a cautionary tale about the impact of fan backlash. Bella Ramsey's experience underscores the challenges actors face when stepping into iconic roles and the importance of supporting creative expression. As we reflect on this development, it's crucial to consider how our reactions shape the media landscape and the stories we cherish.